so beautiful. Don't you just like the turn of events? Don't you just love to belong to God? Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining in today. And I also want to appreciate it so much. Thank you, everyone who subscribed last week. Thank you. I definitely do appreciate that. I thank you for watching the video. Thank you for commenting. Thank you so much. And today we have something exciting. I'm excited about it, and we're going to be diving in shortly. But just before we do that, let's talk about what's in my cup. All right. Remember, I said we're going to relax in this channel, and we will relax. I'm relaxing personally. I'm relaxing with my cup of tea. You probably want to go get yours too. And I want to talk about what is in my cup. I have matcha tea, matcha green tea. It's very nice. Um, it helps with weight loss. That's one of my lists today. It's very high in antioxidants. So, and that's always very good. It's nice. Okay, and it's high in antioxidants. It helps prevent cancer. That's what it said. It said it's proven. And also, um, it boosts metabolism. That is also good. So that way, it's going to aid weight loss. And those are just few things. It's very good. Much I did try it. All right. Now let's go right into it. We're going to be talking about the book of Esther. I like that story. I happen to have a crown here. I'm going to put on my crown and let me know in the comments if this is a no for you, this crown that I just wore, or you think I should have done without the crown. But I like it. I mean, be sincere with me. Tell me if this is good, okay? I can't really say the mirror, but tell me if it's good. All right, so let's go in. The book of Esther is a historical book. I have my Bible open on my phone, so I'll look at it. It is a historical book, very beautiful book. Um, I remember when I read, I mean, I've read it before, but recently, like a few months back, I read the entire chapter. It was mind blowing, and I read it again. I was like, wow, this is good. So let's go right into it. Now, it started with, this happened in Persia, okay, and it started with King Ahasuerus or King Xerxes, who um, threw a party for 180 days, according to the Bible, and the party was ongoing. After that, he threw another party for 7 days. This time, he invited his wife, Queen Vashti, to be part of the party, like come and display her beauty. Basically that's what he was doing. The first 180 days, he displayed or showed how beautiful his kingdom was. I think that was his thing. And after that, the 7 days, he brought everyone to come and drink. The instruction was that everyone should drink as much as they could, as much as they want to. What a generous king, right? Anyways, then he invited his wife. He told some of the eunuchs to go bring his wife so he can showcase her. I don't know if I would call that bad or good, but I know this man was drunk, so I don't know. I'm not here for Queen Vashti. We're going to just say something a little about her. So Queen Vashti refused. She refused the king's order. That's not so good. But I mean, from the way things turned out, it wasn't good. She didn't have to do that. Anyways, she said she was not going to come. I mean, for reasons best known to her. Maybe she didn't want to display herself. She felt everyone was drunk. I don't know what her intention was, but she did not go. I wouldn't totally blame her, but she didn't go. That's the story. And then after that, this is what happened. Um, the king, you know, was had asked, okay, what should we do about it? Queen Vashti, and one of the eunuch, Memucan to be precise, not the chamberlain, one of his cabinet said, we have to really show Queen Vashti that we don't do things like that this over here. We shouldn't do it this way because if we don't do anything to Queen Vashti, other women will think it's okay to disobey the king, or disobey their husbands. And the king was like, okay, you're very correct. So what should we do according to the law? So, well, she needs to be betrothed. We need to send her away and not let her come before the king again. And then they did that. Because the Bible says he was very angry. So the fact that they did that, the throne and said, Vashti will not stand before the king, that did pacify the king for a little bit. And then in the next chapter, we've been on chapter 1. In the next chapter, which is chapter 2, um, the Bible also said that the king was now thinking of Vashti and all that. Then one of his advisors also said, why not, let's do this. Let's gather all some of the young virgins, and then they will come before you, and the king will choose for himself a wife. And again, this king always getting ideas from his subject. He said, that is a great idea. Let's do it. Okay, I hope you're following and I hope you're enjoying the story so far. Hopefully, I want you to. And so, and they did it. That's where Esther came in. Esther, who is a Jew, because people, the Jewish are definitely God's people. Esther was exiled. Esther was, and then he had a cousin, So Esther was also an orphan. So his uncle took over the care for Esther. Was taking care of Esther, modern day adoption, something like that. And Mordecai was in charge of taking care of Esther, really did take good care, because from the story, he did not play with Esther. Even when Esther was one of those ladies that when they would still go up and then just be saying, because he was walking right there with the king too. So he was walking at the palace gate. So yeah, so Esther was one of those women, and these women were a lot of them, and so they were going to go through some rites, some beauty rites for 1 year, after which they'll come before the king. And mind you, the king only needed one woman, and the history had it that there were hundreds of women that were in this, let's say, beauty pageant or talent show, whatever you call it. But it was just he needed one woman, but all these women were going to be in this, and then he's going to choose who he wanted. So his people, his the people in charge of his eunuchs, took these people and started taking care of them. And again, right then there, we were told, or we read, that Esther found favor in the sight of the man that was in charge of taking care of Esther. And he especially gave her some people, 7 ladies, especially for Esther, and then took care of Esther especially. And at the end of the 1 year, when they would go to the king, when it was Esther's, when it was each lady's turn, they would ask for something. They could ask for what they wanted, and they did. But when it came to Esther, Esther, being so wise, did not ask for anything. I would say that was wisdom. She asked for, she took everything that the king's, one of the eunuch gave to her. Because the reason I said that was wisdom, because the king was the king's advisor or eunuch. I think the eunuch was used to the king and probably know what the king wanted. So the fact that Esther said, I'm not going to make choice at this time. I'm just going to let you give me what you want me to take along. I think that was a great thing that Esther did. So yeah, and fortunately, or yeah, I would say fortunately for Esther, she was the chosen one. Fortunately, because those other ladies that were not chosen, they couldn't marry anyone else again. I'll just say they were useless for life, because they were not good. They were just going to be kept somewhere else in the palace. I don't know if the king will ever need them. They were going to now be like concubines to the king. Even Esther was not seeing the king as much, so we're going to get there soon. So imagine those other ladies that did not win, that Esther. So again, Esther, being who she was, again, the front paper on the side of the king, and the king chose her. Moving right along. So after that had happened, uh, the queen, we have a new queen. The new queen has been enthroned. They did a party, a feast for that. The king was happy and all that, you know. And Esther became a big lady from being a Jewish exile to being a queen. That's also beautiful. And then don't forget that Mordecai worked on the gate. And then Haman came with. Now we've talked about Esther, we've talked about Vashti a little bit, then the king, the Hussars, and then Mordecai, Esther's cousin. And then now another character in the story is Haman. All right, and Haman rose to a post, I mean, a high position in the kingdom at that time. And so, and the king ordered that they should bow to Haman. But Mordecai wouldn't, because he was a Jew. So he thought that would be regarded as idol worship, because we're not supposed to bow to anyone else but God. And he wouldn't. Because Haman didn't really notice until somebody was, the first of all, told Mordecai, why don't you bow to the king? You know? I mean, to Haman, that's the king's daughter. Why are you flattering the king's daughter? Haman insisted that he wouldn't. And then they drew Mordecai's, sorry, they drew Haman's attention to it. So Mordecai not bowing to Haman. And then Haman took notice of it. You know, he did it before now, but now he did take notice of it. And every time he's passing, Mordecai, as bold as it was, he still would not bow. Not just bold, but courageous and put it onto his face, even in the strange land. And he still wouldn't bow. So that made him really angry. And so this is what Haman wanted to do. He didn't just want to deal with Mordecai. He wanted to eradicate the entire Jew. And he went to the king. The king, I don't know, something I was asked with the king. Anything that tells him, he just said, okay, yeah, let's do it. I never heard him say no. I don't know why. And from everything I read, he usually would just get advice from his subject, and then whatever they say, he does it. You know, that's what I was at. I don't know. Maybe that was done. I don't know why, but I would say everything was working for Esther's good. Okay, so let's move right along. And then he told the king, there's some set of people that are very insubordinate, they are not obedient. Let's get rid of them. And king, of course, obliged and put his ring on it. And every time that is done, you know that a seed cannot be reversed. And so the Jew was to be killed. So when Mordecai had this, the Bible said he put on sackcloth, he was frantic, he was not impressed with going up and down. And someone told us that his her people told her, girls, you know, told her that, hey, your cousin is not doing well at the gate at all. Your cousin is not doing well at the gate at all. And so this is what happened. Um, Esther sent someone to her and was like, get some clothes, put on some clothes. And I said, no, I'm not going to put on some clothes. And so Esther had now had to send Hatak. Then he spelled Hatach, one of the uh, people in the palace, and so that he could go and find out what was wrong with the car. And then he did. Of course, Mordecai told Esther everything, and also told Esther to do something about it. And Esther said, what? You want me to die? Because you can't go before the king unless the king invites you to. And I've not been there. I've not been invited for the last 30 days. Imagine even Esther that was chosen to see the king. Anyways. And so this is what happened. This is what Mordecai said that was very beautiful. I want to read that out actually, because I think that should be read out. Because that's one of the beautiful parts of the book of Esther. So that would be in Esther chapter 4. Okay. And that starts from verse, let's see, verse 13. He said, for if thou altogether holdest thy peace at this time, then shall the enlargement and deliverance arise to the Jews from another place. But thou and the father's house shall be destroyed. And who knoweth whether thou art come to this kingdom for such a time as this? And then in verse 11, it says, then Mordecai commanded to answer Esther, think not with thyself that thou hast escaped in the king's house more than all the Jews. I remember that, well, I'm not sure if I mentioned this part, but they didn't know, no one knew that Esther was a Jew because that was what Mordecai told her, not to reveal her identity. So at that point, no one knew that she was a Jew. Anyway, so unless I said, oh, okay, I heard you. I heard you. This is what we're going to do. Now, I'm going to fast for 3 days. And you also tell everyone at Shushan, the Jews at Shushan, to join me in this fast. And Mordecai did as Esther said. So on the third day of the fast, according to the Bible, Esther wore her royal apparel and went to stand just where the king could see her. And then when the king saw her, the king lifted up her golden scepter, his golden scepter, and that meant that Esther could come. So Esther came, and the king said, Esther, what do you want? Up to the half of my kingdom. Just let me know, and I'll give it to you. Esther said, I want Haman and you to come to the feast that I'm making, a banquet a feast. And the king said, okay, that is easy. Let's get Haman, let's do this together. And then, because it was a banquet of drinks and all that, Esther knowing what the king likes. And so they drank, and after drinking, the king asked again, Esther, what do you want from me? What's your request? He said, she said, you know what? Let's have another banquet tomorrow. You, me, and Haman. And the king said, okay, that is easy. We're going to have another banquet tomorrow. And so, okay, yeah, yeah. So let's keep going. Let's keep going. I didn't miss it. I thought I missed it. But I already said that Haman was made someone was his position was elevated in the kingdom. So like almost less to the king. So I think that we mentioned that. If I didn't, then I just mentioned it. All right. So at this point, um, there was gonna be another party tomorrow. And then Haman was so happy. He was like, wow, this is beautiful. This is awesome. Now, there's nothing else I need. And so I was invited me to. There was no one else that was invited. Imagine all the people were having. I was the only one that was invited. He was so full of himself, just bouncing home. And right at the gate, Mordecai did not bow again. That angered him. He was so angry. And so that totally spoiled his night. He got home and told his wife and his friend, was like, see, I've been elevated, I have so much power, I'm big, I have children, I have everything working for me, except that this Mordecai that don't bow to me, right? Everyone else bow except for Mordecai. And then his wife and friend said, I have an idea, let's just build a gallows and we can hang Mordecai, you know. hmm And then this gallows was about 50 cubits according to scripture. And when I checked that up, looked that up, I think that would mean about 950 feet, the present day. So that's pretty high. And that was the plan for that Haman had for Mordecai, where he will be hung. And he after he did that, so now the king was supposed to sleep, right? I mean, was the next day would be the second banquet. Whatever. Esther put in that. Well, I don't know, but the Bible said that the king could not sleep. Well, don't forget that they had fasted, right, for 3 days. The king could not sleep, and the king had insomnia, whatever he had, and he needed someone to read to him to sleep, and was like, go bring those books, let me do some reading so I can sleep. And then guess what was found out? I didn't mention this before, but Mordecai had revealed a plan of two of the king chamberlains that wanted to murder the king. They wanted to kill the king. Mordecai found out, told Esther, they investigated, it was true. They just wrote that in a book, but did not say anything. Again, God working, right? It was not time yet for him to be paid. So that night that he couldn't sleep, and he not found that out. What he found that out, and he asked, what was done to this man that saved my life?